Hello and welcome to the second of what will be 5 sessions of Legacy Life Among the Ruins. We are playing the second edition of this. And I didn't ask how to pronounce Jay's name in the meantime, their last name. So we'll get that figured out hopefully for the next session. This is a Powered by the Apocalypse game, a generational game. We are playing the core set of this. There are many uh, um, versions of it. We were playing just the basic one. If you're hearing a cat lamenting in the background, that's because she's locked out. So you may be picking that up. That's not feedback on your end. Anyway, we started last week, and because our group has to make up both a personal character and a family and the world, we did a full session 0 last time, and so we're getting into play this time with one little crunchy detail left over from character creation that we're going to get through today. Before I move on too much further, this is part of the Gauntlet Hangouts. You can find out more about this whole shebang at gauntlet-rpg.com. It is a online gaming group with a strong inclusivity policy and a focus on safety tools. And also includes, we have a blog, and we have a monthly zine that we do, and we also have multiple podcasts, which is actually sort of the whole start of this thing. So we're going to come in today. I want to talk with the players about mechanical questions they have, get that on the table, see if there's any last tweaks we need to do. Then I want to have them give us the elevator pitch on their characters. We're going to do the background questions, which create relationships. We're going to do some of those because we're missing one player. We're going to do 2 for each person. And then I want to have them go over their threats that are on the table that they came up with last time. And we'll kind of look at the map for that. So Patrick, you mentioned before we started recording that you had a mechanical question.
Yes, and it has to do with my starting move for my family culture. I think I did it right. I just want to walk through it to make sure.
Okay.
So culture is when your family starts cultivating a new product, erase a surplus, progress, land, or barter goods. After a few months, harvest the product, get the surplus back, plus an extra effect depending on which surplus you got back.
Absolutely.
At the bottom of it, it has a note about at the start of each age, you can skip the months of cultivation and go straight to harvest. And as an extra note in the book and the PDF, but not any of the handout sheets, it says that includes the age that starts your game.
Right.
So I just randomly, I swear I didn't plan this or anything. I just randomly chose land because that's one of the ones that I took as a starting surplus, which says that you get surplus crops and slow but steady population growth at the end of the age. If you still have that surplus crops, you also get surplus recruits.
Okay. Yeah, so it's not one that let's see, after a few months, harvest the product, get the surplus back plus. So yeah, when we get to the end of the age is when you'll get that recruits as a Benny when we do the turning of the age.
Well, except I'm starting with the harvest, so I'm reading that as I get the surplus crops. And again, randomly, one of the needs I took was crops. So does that mean I think I cross them both out and I start at a morale of or a mood of 0?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Those will negate. And you'll still get the thing where you get the recruits at the end of the age. So
well, except now I won't have the crops because I've just erased it to deal with my needs.
Yeah, except the thing that we're going to say is that you've already done that process. You've done it at the start of the age, so the Benny that you would get, you are going to get at the end of that age.
Cool. I won't argue with that.
Yeah.
Thank you. I just wanted to make sure my reasoning was right there.
No, there are a lot of little bits here in the game. Lots of resources and so on. Ari, do you have any questions?
I'm going to ask some as we go.
Okay. All right.
There's some moving parts here, but I think I'm going to learn as we.
Sure. And Walter, you made that change to the move then?
Yeah. So I got rid of one of my moves. and I took the strength of the pack. So yeah, so I now have the strength of the pack, add +1. Or how about I'll just talk about it. Would you like me to read it now, or
No,
should
no. I
talk about it
just
when I
just
do
wanted to
all
make
my,
sure that we made that change there, and that you're
yeah, I
you're happy
changed it
with
in the
that.
character keeper now, so it's my character sheet's up to date.
Okay, awesome. So what I think that our next step is going to be is to have everybody give the 30-second elevator pitch on their family, followed by and let's do that, walk through everybody's, and then we'll do the 30-second elevator pitch on your characters, and then we'll do the backgrounds. So I'm going to start with you, Ari. Give us the 30-second pitch on who your family is.
This is the family Starg, and what we do is we take dangerous technology back and break it into parts. And it's just my family talking about, not my.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, and then we also take weird science, take powerful devices, and shape them from power sources, hooking up to different power sources.
And we imagined, I think last time we talked about that there's a lot of sort of soft biotech that's out there, but that your family, do they lean into the harder side of things, or is it a mix, or how are you picturing that?
I think it's a mix.
Okay.
Yeah, a mix of the two.
Okay. All right. And then Patrick, tell us about your family.
Such as the cultivators of the New Flesh playbook, and my family's the Primogen. And the cultivators are all about like weird biology and working with and taming and taking in the strangeness of the plants and animals of the world. So my family is sort of like a weird co-op of biological research firms. Who go out into the world, find strange and interesting new plants and animals, study them, tame them, bend them to their uses, and eventually incorporate bits of those things into their own biology, so that there are all these different bloodlines, families, research firms, whatever, that are building their own custom version of the perfect human to inhabit the wastelands. And one is sort of above another at a certain time, but it's always flexing. It's a very sort of a bit chaotic of a ruling structure.
Excellent. And then Walter, tell us about your family.
Yes, so my family is the Vayu, which is the Uplifted Children of Mankind playbook. So the existence of my faction is really related to the other two. We kind of established in the backstory that some like related group to the Primogen had actually, or I'm sorry, did I get that right? To the
Yeah.
Ari's group, the Starg, had created a bunch of like bird-like humans, these like kind of fantasy-looking like humanoids with wings, bird wings, and somewhat bird-like facial features, and there had been a whole variety of these populating the planet, and that after the fall, they became actually fairly dominant in some ways. They they really thrived in the new environment, and then the Primogen, through the use of this vaccine that helped them to sort of overcome any difficulties they had, really helped to this like unite them, right? And so they have formed this these bird people of different like species really have kind of come together and formed this very contentious, democratic, but loudly argumentative confederation of these bird creatures who have really just like have developed a reputation for being brutal and vicious in combat and very successful. And they've become sort of arrogant. They're like, they see themselves as being the inheritors of the land now that the fall has come, and they are so well adapted for it.
Excellent. And the fourth family that we developed last time is the Bastion, or the Order of the Titan. They are the Kaiju Hunters. They will be off the table for today because Darren's computer died. So just want to give a shout out to him. We'll pour out a cup of coffee for him. All right. And let me swing back around. Ari, within the Starg, what character are you playing? Who are you playing?
Sorry, I had to unmute myself. I am playing Jurga the Scavenger. He's kind of a concealed with a gas mask face, appraising eyes, worn body. And he's developed, he uses junk to use that to develop communications so he can speak to all of his other family members. We're sort of a diaspora. And he's also got this move where if you plan out the exploration of a new ruin, you get to do these cool things like track danger in the ruin, find ways to use the ruin as a weapon, which is kind of cool.
Excellent. Excellent. And we will come back to figuring out the backstory connections with the others here in a second. And you took Outsiders, your role move to start. Great. Patrick, tell us about your character.
So I'm playing Hemlock, who's sort of he's the survivor playbook. He's the last.
That is the most Shakespearean name you could have chosen. That was just occurred to me.
He's so nice. It's probably fine or whatever. Don't worry about it. Just drink the tea. But he's like the last surviving member of his bloodline. There's the killing fields with the unknown sort of like pack hunters out there that was the downfall of his bloodline. He's become convinced that the way for the families, the bloodlines to move forward, the way for them to be safe is to convince the Drassel, the big city tree, semi-sentient city tree, to let them in, to live there, to live in its protection. And that's sort of his driving goal for the family right now. He's got the leader role because people are listening to him right now. And he's got the able guide move, and this won't kill me, which means I can lead people through the wastelands pretty well. And things don't kill me.
Excellent. Excellent. And don't forget, everybody, to check your harm track on your playbook versus what's on the sheet, because you need to put in this particular descriptors for that, because I just used some default ones for that. Then that brings us to Walter. Tell us about your character.
There we go. Hi. Okay, so I am playing Vajrayo. Vajrayo, they, them, is a elder. So Vajrayo is a leader, has a bent body, has seen a lot, was like a hero of their people when younger and more able-bodied, but now is a commander of a elite squad of staff, of including a bunch of couriers that Vajrayo utilizes in diplomatic actions. So Vajrayo is sort of a commander of like an elite squad and a diplomat.
Excellent, excellent, and your people certainly are about getting big groups together to do things.
Yes.
All right. Excellent. So let's come back, and we're going to I'm going to have each of you pick two of those backgrounds to put out here. We'll save one aside, and we're going to do those connections between characters here. There's essentially bonds. These don't have mechanical effect, but they are a story fiction thing. So feel free to modify them as you wish. These aren't set in stone. If you want to make changes to those, feel free.
Could you point out where this is at?
Well, actually, you have typed those in on your sheet under backstory.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But they're in the playbook. Let me make sure. Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, because I didn't copy the. Oh yeah, the backstories are also on the roles tab as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Did all that work and then I forgot about it. There we go. So Ari, why don't you pick one of these and you can throw it out for the other two, or you can say, hey, I think this might be appropriate for this particular character, Hemlock or Vajrayo. What do you think?
I think I'm going to throw the first one out to the Primogen. And is the question, the backstory question is, blank is why I came back to civilization. I think it might have to do with the biotech.
Oh, okay.
Feel free to flesh that out how you wish, if you like it.
Why you come back to civilization. So what is it that's like calling to you about the wastes, or what is it that drives you away from civilization? What would make you stay out there?
I think that if I'm speaking from the perspective of my scavenger, they kind of are reclusive by nature because of the toxic and dangerous environments that they go to. And then once they do that, it's hard for them to be around people. So they stay kind of pulled away a lot. But if something is particularly compelling, then I think that, they might spend whatever resources to kind of clean up and be able to get in and out.
So it has access to the decontamination materials. Okay.
So this is Hemlock, and it's this sort of like self-imposed social quarantine that you're putting on yourself. I think Hemlock, he has some, like, he's shared with you some methods for like containing that stuff, for decontaminating faster when you get back to civilization. And yeah, I think there was some like late night drinking, who knows what a plant-based bio guy drinks, but whatever. But drinking around the equivalent of a campfire, and him just talking about like that need and the dreams he has of being able to go home to a family, a facility, people that just were all wiped out all at once, and how like you need to make sure you stay connected with the people in your family.
Awesome. So go ahead and write that in. Patrick, let's come to you, and why don't you pick one of your backstory questions or statements? These aren't questions, are they? They're statements.
I think this fits in really well then. So I think probably the reason why like Hemlock had that connection with Jurga, right? Yeah. Was Jurga reminds me of someone I lost long ago.
Who? Like who?
It's like, I think a family member, like a brother, probably a younger brother. But I think that's what brought up like the stories of his bloodline and the people that he lost that night. Is just like, there's something about your mannerisms, and maybe something about like, your profile or whatever, that just he can't stop thinking back to that time.
Does that work for you, Jurga? Okay. Which brings us to Walter and Vajrayo. Let's have you pick one of your backstory statements.
Yeah. So one of them I have is X and I sat in council before, and I taught them. Oh, wait a minute. Let's see. And I taught them wisdom. So I think that's interesting. We're gonna do all three of these in the end?
Well, in the
What
end,
was
you're
gonna
going to
be
do all
three?
three of them. We're going to save one for
Oh, I see.
our kaiju hunter.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Interesting. All right. So yeah. So I think I'm actually gonna use that one. The I sat in council and taught wisdom to Hemlock.
That makes sense. That work for you, Hemlock?
Yeah, and I like that. I like that sort of back and forth between our families, rather than just the thing of like, my family saved yours, so now you owe us.
And it reemphasizes certainly Vajrayo's age.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, that sounds good. Let's swing back to Jurga. Let's have you pick one more of those background statements.
Sure. This is a parenthetical. I have view-only access for some reason now.
Oh, is it doing that thing again? Hang on, let me
Yeah, I was
grab
trying
the
to.
copy link. Here, let me give you the what ought to be the edit link. There you go. See if that works.
It's still am I supposed to be clicking on something here?
I put a new link in the tab. Sorry, in the chat there. If you click on that, it should take you to a version that has edit access.
Okay, I see. Well, let me ask my question, and I'll work on the technical.
Oh, sure.
So the one I'm going to go with is blank shares my lust for discovery. I think I'll go with Vajrayo on this one, since we had that bird creature connection.
Does it make sense for you, Vajrayo?
For discovery. Yeah, maybe. Interesting. So yeah, our people had the connection with the bird creatures. Yeah. I think maybe Vajrayo was. Yeah, maybe especially in Vajrayo's like older years, Vajrayo's become much more interested in their like where their people came from, and has consulted with you on those matters, sort of taking advantage of your genealogical perspective on the Vaio.
Nice. Awesome. Were you able to get the right access there?
I haven't done it yet. I'm taking the notes from.
Oh, okay.
I'll check that in a second.
Okay. Then that brings us to Hemlock. Hemlock, let's have you pick another one of those backstory connections.
So I think Vajrayo will need my help to survive. And I'm curious, Walter, if you're interested in like your clan needs some help to survive against something, or if Vajrayo himself, there's something threatening or an illness about him. What do you like?
You know, I like the idea of it being like a personal connection between. Maybe Hemlock has access to some medication. Maybe Vajrayo is, not young, not as healthy as they used to be, and maybe you have access to medication that they can't get from their own people that helps keep Vajrayo, more vigorous.
I like that, the sort of thing of like you have these dreams, you have these visions for your clan, and you have to hold on just like a little bit longer, sort of thing.
Yeah, I like that.
Excellent. And then Vajrayo, let's have you pick one more of your background picks.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm gonna pick. I know how X's parents truly died. I wonder if they would welcome the truth. So I'm going to pick Jurga for that. I have no idea what that ugly truth would be. What do you think, Ari? Any ideas?
I like that. I think it makes sense because I have this trepidation about these toxic sites and mixing in with that. Maybe my parents before me were involved in just that sort of thing, and there was a fatal accident, and now I'm really cautious about it.
Okay.
Information
So your parents died exploring some of these toxic
and
sites.
if you want to dig even deeper, it could be the revelation of the bird people. All that knowledge came through their sacrifice. That might actually bring us a bit closer.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. All right. Okay, I like that.
Am I supposed to write this, or
no? Walter will write that on his backstory.
Okay. Yeah, I got my stuff in. That link you gave me works now.
Awesome. Let me mention one other addition that I made to the character keeper before I move on too much further, and that is sometimes we might zoom in on a character, in which case other people will make quick characters. I did put drop downs on each of your sheets for the inheritance move that is for your particular family. So it's also a good way if you're looking at new moves. Eventually, if you want to look at what your inheritance moves, those are also now on the sheet available to you. They're off on the little quick character things. They should work. Let's hope my VLOOKUP actually does the job. But I just wanted to mention why that's there.
I'm sorry, Lowell. I was like in the middle of typing something, and I think I missed the key part of what you just said. What is the extra feature that you added?
So over on the right-hand side of your characters tab, you'll see we've got those blank quick characters.
Oh yeah.
See, now there's a little bit of colored area. I've got drop downs because when somebody makes up a quick character, they get to pick a move called an inheritance. Okay. So I've got those there. One of the things you can take as advance for your character is to take one of those inheritance moves. So that's just to tell you that text is there now for copying and pasting if you need to do that. All right. What I want to do is I want to swing back and look at the threats. Each of you introduce a threat in that making up section, in that coming up with our world here. Now, had I realized the time change and not gotten up an hour later than I intended to, I was going to go through and make a quick summary of those on the thing, but I'm going to put this in your lap instead right now. So let me come back to you. When you created the Stark and we went to the map section, Ari, what was the threat that you mentioned, that you established there?
With the Stark, let me check the map.
Yeah, there was on each one there was a landmark that was sort of the last pick of the landmarks, and it was a threat. Let me also, I can look up what those options would have been for you.
I know I've got a crude tribe of raiders.
Okay.
Using advanced tech. I'm sorry, was I supposed to link those to stuff on the map?
Yeah, I think when you came up with that, you put an area where they came from. Do you remember which area you mentioned them being from?
Oh boy. I don't actually.
Is that the cultivar?
I know I did the compound and the cultivar and the sorrow dome.
Okay.
So let's go with the cultivar.
Okay. So we've got these raiders, the cultivar down there. They have advanced tech.
Yeah, they were machines, weren't they? If I recall.
Yeah. As opposed to all the other sort of very organic things, they are an inorganic people that are stretching out. And then there's been some question about what the relationship is to the nanos and the whole weird tech and flesh thing of the kaiju. So they have begun raiding out. Okay. And then what was the one threat that the Primogen established?
So mine was, I talked about it a little bit, but the killing fields, and just because I got extra twee about everything, I made links on the map to pictures of stuff. Anyways, it's an area. There is a deadly threat in there. That's the like hard, fast known thing.
Okay.
It's not many survivors have come out, conflicting stories. There was a like dying survivor who came out recently who probably gave the description that led to that image that I have there. So current theory is that it's some like evolved pack of semi-sentient nano hunters, but that's just my family's best guess.
I like that. I'm gonna click on that link and see what you linked there. Ooh, okay. Yikes. Okay. So that gives us something there. And then lastly, what did you come up with for the value? What was the threat? Is that the Griffin Nomads?
Yeah, that's the Griffin Nomads. So they are a band of sort of uplifted scavenger birds, like vultures, who have learned to herd other creatures and are now like basically these wandering nomadic herders who have decided to herd their flock right over into the middle of our business.
They are numerous, violent, powerful, heavily weaponed, and something has pushed them out into this area, whether it's a lack of resources or something else, but they've begun pushing in and taking up territories, taking up resources from other groups around in here. So they are definitely out there, sort of in the Midlands, as we'll call it. And we may establish other factions in the course of play. We may establish other things that are out there. So with that in mind, I want to kind of frame in some recent events, and then we're going to hard frame the characters together for at least a scene of the three of you having a conversation, and then we may split off and go in different directions. So one of the things established in Legacy is that enough time has passed is just now that our groups are starting to get surplus to like survive and grow more than they have. Like the tipping point from just the sort of the bare minimums to actually progress has been met, and that's what's changed things in this world. What's Ari? What's the sort of environment here? Is it a mono environment? Are we like in desert or jungles or flatlands, or are there different areas? How do you imagine that?
I imagine it kind of like mixed, depending on the elevation.
Mhm.
Maybe the lower elevation is a little more humid, gets more precipitation, and the higher is more dry, and you get these sort of like fog clouds that form at the lower elevations. Does that sound cool?
Yeah, like sort of the Andes area. We've mentioned a lot with the mountains and things like that. So I imagine that there are probably lots of high plateau elevation areas, and then the lowlands would probably have that mist that rolls out over to Hope's Edge. If you've ever seen like Blue Planet, have you seen where the mist rolls out to the ocean on those areas down South America? So something like that. So we've got kind of a lush, verdant area, different climates down below as opposed to above. And when we start this, Patrick, what's the season? Are we in winter, summer, fall, spring? or is that even a thing now? Or what does seasonality here mean?
So seasonality in general, I like the idea of like there are identifiable seasons. They last for a time, but the order and sequence and length of them is just like it's not impossible to predict. It's just made meteorology like really, really weird. So you may go straight from winter into like a blazing hot summer that lasts for 6 months, or you may go from winter and just like step back into fall for a while, things like that.
Oh, and maybe part of the reason that people have been able to survive is developing skills of making predictions, or
Yeah,
maybe a
yeah.
little more regularity than there has been in the past.
As for right now, I've got a plant-based Family Guy. Let's go with spring. That's a good time
Okay.
for him to be out.
Does that mean hemlock is in flower?
Hemlock in bloom.
he's just a little extra fancy right now. It's it's rude to mention it. You just enjoy it. Take it in.
And remind me that this is something I know, Walter, that we established that these griffin nomads are a different set of avians. They are uplifted, but they're different from you. We'll talk about what that means in a bit. But how recently has this incursion occurred?
I think it's been like a gradual thing where, like there were always rumors about them, and maybe occasionally, one of them would be spotted. And then, maybe a year ago, there were reports that, oh yeah, they seem to be kind of moving a little closer, and they were encountered a little more often when we went to field. And it's only in maybe the last month that we're kind of like, oh, they're on our doorstep now, and they seem to be making themselves at home.
And so when we take up, there are some, I'm going to set out sort of 3 recent incidents that have occurred. And we're going to then draw the groups together. One is that something has changed in the killing fields. We described as it having kind of a mist and kind of a different appearance. Like there is a visible borderland here, and it has changed to a new color or tone or appearance. What does the new appearance look like, Patrick?
I think all the vegetation has turned like a uniformly weird color. Something like bright sort of day glow violet.
Yeah. And that has spread out. It's changed the whole sort of cast of the color. Like the light in there looks different than it has before. In the distance, when you see the light coming out of the clouds, the cloud line has a violet cast to it. And people reported that changing of the vegetation, that violet plague, has begun to move out further beyond that. Second thing is that one of the sort of lowland major agricultural settlements that probably had some of your people, since some people are dispersed, that the Griffin nomads essentially stormed it. And we'll call, just because I will remember it if I do this, I'm going to put this right here. And we'll have Patrick figure out the font since he likes doing that. That is a settlement called Atreyu down in the lowlands that the Griffin nomads stormed it, took its resources, and pushed everyone out. Like this is the first major assault that they have done, and kind of the declaration of their intentions. But the weirdest thing is the illness that has begun to appear. The plague that has hit the Primogen and the Starg and even the Vayu equally. And it's an illness that causes people to fall into a fever that ravages them. And as it does so, as it begins to consume them, and they're in this fevered state, they change. And they change their physical appearance. They change even their size and so on. Whatever this plague is, it physically transforms them. And as they do that, as it happens, before they die, all of the victims look identical by the end before they die. And then they collapse. And so you end up with these identical humanoid victims with kind of a dirty blonde hair and similar facial features. And the fever just burns through them. And this has been seen throughout the land in sporadic places, and it's beginning to worry people. They don't know whether it's a bioweapon. They don't know whether it's a natural plague. They don't know what is happening with that.
Lowell, I'm imagining that when this hits the Vayu in particular, part of this changing is that the Vayu's wings and feathers actually start to like wither and disappear, and their feathers become this like sort of sandy blonde hair almost grows into place of where their feathers were. It's really very upsetting for the Vayu.
Yeah. And that the whole molting process that goes along with that. I would say that for the Primogen, actually, they die the fastest because whatever is ravaging is turning them into making them non-plant, essentially starting to change them their essence that way, and they die faster as a result. Whatever this thing is doing, it is causing that. So let me ask, then with this thing in this spring, what is the name of a neutral crossroads, a place that the three of you might end up meeting at? We know that the Starg are dispersed, I believe, as are the Vayu, so they would have people in this place, and it certainly be a place that the people from the Primogen could travel to. So what is the name of this place?
I think the Vayu enjoy Drazil as like I'm imagining it's like they consider Drazil one of the like wonders of the fallen world, and they like to go there, and they would be fine with having a council meeting there if that's where, or something, if our characters want to meet there.
So do you imagine it's at Sapling that you two would journey to there? Does that seem fine for you, Starg? Sorry, for you, Zerga?
Yeah, that looks good. I see it. It's on the top right corner.
Yeah. So let me ask you this: how? And this is a primarily Primogen place, but there are people from the other dispersed communities. How is it that communication works, that you would get word that two people that you know, Hemlock, are coming to this place?
It's gonna be because all of my people have like pets, animal companions, sort of things. So yeah, I think it's gonna be like probably swift runners, like little like some canine feline mountain lion type thing that runs across. people from that bloodline and have like empathy with it to be able to like figure out a message that it was carrying. But yeah, sent from the sentries out in the borders.
So you have certainly gotten word that Jurga, who you know, and Vajrayu, who you know, are coming. Vajrayu, what does your entourage look like when we see you on camera come? What does that look like? Because you have a big group of people with you. What is, and but you're older. What does that travel look like? What is that? What do we see?
Yeah, I mean, my entourage is really notable. They are, many of them are sort of, they at first look like a bit of a motley crew because they're all sizes, but then you start to realize that part of that is because they are, some of them very extremes. There's some of them are some of the largest bayou bird people you've ever seen. Some of them are very small and incredibly swift. Some of them have very dramatic coloration, and all of them are armed with these. Well, almost all of them are armed with these very vicious bladed weapons with sort of very elaborate, fantastical styles of blades. These are the elite warriors, and then in the middle of this group of warriors of all shapes and sizes, but flying in very tight formation, very coordinated, very graceful and swift, is a band of couriers, and they bring with them documents, and they are the learned of the people of the Bayou, and with them is flying with them, consulting with them as they fly is Vajrayu.
And he does fly. I couldn't remember if he was still took to the air or not.
Vajrayu can still fly, but is not a swift warrior by any means.
And I think for the Primogen, this is a pretty striking arrival, especially because the Primogen owe to them, or rather, you have treaty on the Primogen, but there's not a reciprocal back and forth on that. So there is a little bit of perhaps sense of imbalance that goes on with this big group arriving into the settlement there. And Starg, where have you been before this? Where did you come from to get here? And what was the thing that's in the back of your mind? What's the threat that's weighing on you that drew you to this place?
The threat that drew me here?
Yeah. What of the things that we've mentioned or something else is weighing on your mind that would take you to Sapling to speak with your colleagues?
I am concerned about the cultivar because they're so different from everything else, and I fear that their ability to potentially appropriate and mimic different things, bio things, nanotech, and then absorb them somehow and modify them makes them quite dangerous.
There are rumors that have reached your ears that the cultivar have begun to move people onto the wall, onto that great barrier, and are doing something there. And keep in mind, the barrier is that massive thing that we don't know what's on the other side. It's so huge, it is a mountain unto itself. But
they're looking at that pink thing there.
Hope's Edge is what that is. Yeah.
Okay.
The Shroomtown settlement is near there, but down at that sort of southern edge, and we're going to assume north is top because I'm northern hemisphere biased, and that the cultivar begun to reach down to there. And do you think you announce yourself, or do you kind of slide into town?
No, I think we announce ourselves. We're sort of scholarly types. I think we come in by maybe airships, because that's how we normally travel.
Okay.
we've got these canopied airships that arrive, and our people keep records on things of horror. That's where our knowledge comes from. So our appearance is a bit gaunt. Maybe wearing robes and kaftans and strange looking hats, and have this sort of gaunt, hollow appearance to our people.
And so you have a decent sized group with you as well.
Yeah, this is an important thing. So we're bringing our scholars and important family members.
And when these two entourages arrive, tell me something about Sapling. What do they see? What do we see that's unique? I mean, we can see the tree in the distance overshadowing everything.
Yeah. Drazzle is back there. It's huge. It's again, I've got sort of reference pictures on the map, but it's sort of off in the distance. Sapling is this settlement that they've built outside of it because Drazzle itself is sort of insane and possessive of its territory, and they're trying to do a long-term negotiation with it. So there's a picture there for Sapling. It's less built up than that. Imagine it's still sort of scaffoldy and in construction, but basically there's this smaller forest that surrounds Drassel, and they've started like building and weaving in and among the trees, buildings that like walkway and ladder up to higher parts up at the top of trees. Everything is just like sculpted around the landscape. But like I said, still very in construction.
So, it's early days Rivendell.
Yeah. They still had the like amazing masons up doing their magical work, but just in framework right now.
So let's cut into, there's been a meeting. The ceremonies have gone on. The welcoming, the exchange of gifts, all of that usual thing has happened. People have given reports, and that's kind of all in the background. When the three of you, with probably some staff in the back, have a chance to meet and talk, and they've come to you here, Hemlock. So when you have a chance to get this private counsel, let's start with you. How do you open up this discussion? And what do you look like? I know I have a sense of the robes, the kaftan of Jurga and what Vajraya look like, but what does Hemlock look like? You're muted. Take a drink.
Fransom, stupid headset. Hemlock is he is older. His skin is very weathered, but since he has like this sort of plant vine based to his biology, that's like sort of scars and twists like you'd see in the bark of something rather than what you'd expect as wrinkles. His veins are pronounced and sort of like vine-like pushed up out of his skin. And his hair, I think, is like drooping tendrils sort of thing, vines. He dresses as the heads of all the different bloodlines dress, very like clean, stark white, slightly fetishized lab wear, basically.
Okay, I like the slightly fetishized lab wear. That is a great line.
The meeting place, I guess, would be like a big hall, probably on the ground, because that's where we've managed to build the biggest structures so far. The cultivators, they're all about like bounty and surplus, so there'd be this like long central table that's like overflowing with food, mostly fruits and vegetables, some meats on there. Be careful so no birds.
Smart. The caution is made. Okay, the three of you can converse. So what is the thing that's weighing on your mind that you wish to start with, or are you asking one of them to talk about the matters? Hemlock, what do you think?
I mean, I'll certainly get mine in, because obviously they're coming to me, and so there's some sort of like back and forth there. But again, they're coming to me, and I'm interested to hear what's motivated the two of them to come. It doesn't look like together, just coincidentally, like arriving at a similar time. But what's motivated them both to come, sort of in force or in numbers?
Let me ask you this. This is an important question from my sense of things. When the table is opened to Vajrayu and Jirga, who speaks first?
I don't think I would speak first. So if you wanted to speak first, that's fine. I have no problem with that.
Yeah. So
Is there a hesitation? Is there a waiting? Or
no. Vajrayo is there, and at the table, most of Vajrayo's contingent, very large contingent of sort of bodyguards, is sort of somewhere else. They're probably, you know, making camp and relaxing and socializing with, you know, their equals around the Primogens area. But Vajrayo, they are accompanied by a group of a couple scholars, learned people from the Vayu, and one of them actually gets up to speak for Vajrayo, and introduces you know, their what they're there for. This is, I'm assuming, is this like a large group of people, or is this like just like a couple of us together? Actually, is this, are we imagining that this is like after all the formalities?
yeah, I think so.
I don't imagine it's like everybody that you've traveled with.
So
but
at this point,
certainly
maybe
a big
it's
enough
just our
hall,
three.
and
Maybe it's just
stuff
our
that,
three
yeah.
characters even at this point.
I got the big table. You gotta have some people.
Other
needed.
people in the background, kind of, they're a little bit in shadow.
Okay. All right. So yeah. Okay. So then I think in that context, there's a couple other Vayu with Vajrayo, and one of them actually speaks first on behalf of Vajrayo, and says that that there are many changes afoot in the Midlands with this virus, with the coming of these nomads, and I think that the Starg have some concerns as well. So we are very, very interested to hear what we can do. We have long been allies, and we thank you for hosting us. And as Vajrayo comes to represent the Vayu, and then his representative sits down.
Which yeah.
Vajrayo, it's good to see you looking well. I hope things have been holding up for you personally.
Thank you. Yes, I am well. Thank you for hosting us.
Yes,
It is always a pleasure to be back in sight of Drasil. It is a wonder and beautiful sight.
Truly, it is the greatest wonder left in this world. But I sympathize with the disease, the plagues that creep across our land. But crap names. My nemesis. Jirga, there we go.
Yeah.
Jirga.
So, yeah, please. Is your character speaking?
Yeah,
Okay.
Moving over to you. Go. Do it.
Yeah. So the reason Jirga has been taking his time to speak is his attendants are being very detailed in ensuring that his suit remains in place and all the seams are kind of blocked out, and that no contamination of this environment is possible. And they set up these various apparatus so that he can speak. He's got this mask on that he's keeping closed around his face, and he says, Yes, this disease is a threat, but the cultivar are appropriating nanotech. And if they are allowed to continue beyond Hope's Edge, their threat will become ever greater. I implore you both to help me in finding out if this threat is as dangerous as I think it is.
Indeed. Danger spreading across the land all over. I hope you will take the opportunity to stay here in Sapling long enough to feel comfortable. My people are preparing a decontamination chamber for you, something to help you clear off the road and relax for a little bit as we discuss these matters.
You are a most gracious host.
We have a bounty to give to the world, and we owe it to the world to help where we can. Spreading threats and spreading disease, this world seems to be coming for our stability, jealous of what we've made.
Hemlock, it is no secret that your people the value have turned to you, and you have helped us in the past dealing with viruses. We owe a great deal to you, but this current plague is, I fear, as bad for the value as any, and it is all the more worrying that it is affecting all of the people, not just the value, but it is affecting the Starg and the Primogen. And we have come here to ask for your assistance and to offer what you can to aid in finding a cure for this devastating plague.
An enemy that attacks the very cells, the genes, the bloodlines that we've worked so hard to protect. It's anathema to a future for our peoples. I recognize the threat that you bring to the table, Jurga, but I have to agree that something that attacks us at our root, at our very base, is a danger that must be dealt with first. Then we can face outwards, then we can be strong together and fight back against the world.
It is the ability of the cultivar to adapt and change that makes them most interesting. Perhaps the cure to this disease lies in their adaptations.
That's really tempting for Hemlock.
Yeah. And actually, I think I want to kind of look here at a move that we can do, because I think we have that Hemlock and Vajraya are on the same page, right? Like they are. We've got to take care of this virus. That seems like a reasonable thing we're hearing there. And Jurg is coming from a slightly different place, right? So I think Jurga, if you're pushing on them, maybe you're calling in a debt on one of them. Like you want to get them to support your agenda, right?
Sure.
So what you do is when you call on an obligation to another family, you spend one treaty that you have on them, and then you get to get a +2 on a move that targets them, take a surplus from them, or get them to back you up, fall into indecision, or protect something important. And then they have a choice to spend to resist that.
Lowell, do you mind if I hide hide Darren's character from the character keeper,
please. Yeah,
so I
please.
can see everything together? Thanks.
Yeah, and I'm jumping to. This is a scavenger move.
This is a peripheral move from the family moves.
Okay.
And it's not a rolled one. It's just a question of, do you want to spend treaty to push on one of them to back you up? Or, I mean,
I think I will.
Who would you push on?
I think I'll push on Primogen. I've got
Okay.
3 on them, right? I can spend what, 1, 2, however I want.
You can spend 1, and then they can respond.
Yeah, I'll spend 1. I'll just erase that. I had 3. Now I've got 2.
And Primogen will adjust as well. So when Jirga pushes on you, when the Stark push on you, what's the Primogen reaction?
Oops,
Ow,
it's
it's all wrong. I'm typing and on the wrong mute, and it's So I think it would be well, move wise.
Move I
Ari
Jirga
is
choice here.
choosing one of those, isn't he?
Well, what will happen is before he makes his choice, we kind of know what he wants, but you can resist that by spending a treaty you have on them.
Gotcha. No, I don't think I will, and I assume you're sort of going for the third option there, Ari. Get them to back you up, fall into indecision, or protect something important.
Yeah. Sounds good.
So
what's the name of the bit, like the moves, like overall?
Oh, if you look under family moves, it's called Call in a Debt. It's in the peripheral section there.
Oh, I see it now. Okay. I was going with what you were saying, but now I can actually read it. Yeah, that third option is the one I want. Back you up, fall in a decision.
Then yeah, I think he'd. I'll go with the back you up in the sense of like I said, that opportunity to like study their biology, pull something out of them to help with this problem is very appealing to Hemlock.
Sure.
And he'll like sort of look very deep in thought while you're explaining and sort of arguing your point. And he'll just look like pleased and sort of like the light has gone on in his head towards the end, and just say, of course, you bring the proper answer, that we have to work together, Jirga. You're right. We work on these problems not separately, not in order, but at once. We attack the nano threat out there and see if we can pull knowledge from them, make them do the work of finding a cure for us. We could find an answer to one problem in another. And then that will be beautiful. Everything will come together. You'll be safe, and we'll all be free to turn our attention to the real threat of the land, the expansion of the killing fields up north.
Kill 2 birds with 1 stone.
I take exception to your turn of phrase.
And what's your response with that particular mention there, and the things are going to change away from your direction, Vajrayo?
So Vajrayo sort of whispers, leans over, and exchanges some words in the ear of their council, and then they say, "So, Hemlock, you are of the opinion then that by taking on these nano creatures down near the wall, that could lead to a cure for the plague." This is what you were saying.
Yes, if we can capture some of them, study them, see how their nanomachines work, how they respond to things like this morphing virus, this changing plague, and we can pull something out of that. Perhaps a way to fix both problems with each other, a way to attack them with the virus and gain an antibody out of it.
Well, this is this is a course of action that the Vayu could assist you in. We are not masters of technology as the Starg and the Primogen, but when it comes to dominating and controlling those that we need something from, that we can aid you in. This could be a fruitful alliance.
What a threat-filled acceptance. Cool. So we sort of have a vague agreement of how we want to approach this. Yeah, I think Hemlock will look like really pleased that he managed to work this whole diplomatic middle route, that he didn't really have to make a choice of one alliance over the other.
That seems fair. So I think we cut that scene, and we're going to zoom up to the family level, and we're going to conduct some family moves to look into this, and we'll look at that, and that may find us a thing that we have to then zoom in on. Let's go ahead and take a 5-minute break here, and then we'll move to this family move. Sound okay?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So we zoom back up to the family level, and essentially, I'm going to go around, and we'll see what each of you, how each of you are carrying out this, what you're doing to figure things out or whatever. So we'll be looking at the family moves there. And if you have a particular family move from your playbook, be sure to mention that because I don't know everybody's moves. So I put the weight of that on your hands. So yes.
Oh, I wanted maybe a little more clarification. Maybe
Sure.
maybe it's faster to even do it out of character about the details of what this threat looks like. Is Ari back? Yeah.
Yeah.
So the cultivar, the idea is they're. I mean, so they're.
So we've
They're
got
like
the cultivar. They're a mechanical
cultivar
faction.
is the place where they're living, though, right?
Yep, it is, and they are called the cultivar. They are mechanical. They have some. They have techno forms. I think we've established them as somewhat humanoid. They have some nanotechnology they use. They're kind of a hive group that has appeared, and they've been growing there, and now they've clearly turned their attention to Hope's Edge, and they're using technology in new and unusual ways.
Okay, but they haven't actually like attacked the star yet or anything. I guess that's what I wanted to clarify. They're just there.
They're a threat. They're probably also impinging on the Starg's monopoly on technology.
Okay. Okay, that gives me clarification. I wasn't sure if they had actually like assaulted the Starg or like threatened their resources directly in some way.
Not yet, I don't think, right?
Okay.
So let's come to the Starg. Tell me, Ari, what is the Starg going to do?
I think we're going to kind of like get together and look through all of our records because we have extensive knowledge of, things birthed, horrors birthed by the fall. I think what we were going to do is maybe look to see if there are any patterns in the past that might match what is happening at present.
All right. Well, you have this horrors birthed by the fall move. So this is a situation covered by the field. So tell everyone a fact about it. What do you want? What is the fact you want to establish about what's going on with the cultivars?
Once the cultivar have completely appropriated some organic thing, they become a more powerful version of it. They basically take the thing and then graft on their own, other agglomeration of things that they've amassed, and then insert, other things onto that, making it more deadly. Even more deadly.
Is it like the kaiju in that fusion, or is it that they're transforming the organics into something technological?
I think the latter.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you will gain advantage on that. And what would you? Well, let's do that as your move. Let's maneuver around here. We'll come back and we'll figure out how you want to use that info, whether it's to uncover secrets or to conduct subterfuge or whatnot. Let's come to you then, the Primogen. Primogen, you've heard Starg talk about this threat. You know something about it. What would you do? You also have this virus. What are you doing?
So what I'd be eventually angling towards, I think, would be my family's domestication move,
Okay.
which is when an abnormal life form is brought back to your family's farm and reshaped to your needs. Choose one. Blah blah blah. But yeah, so one way or the other, I don't know if it would start with gathering information or with like going out and trying to capture, but I'd want to get one or the other of them back to a secure place. Probably start with the things, not the plague, but the things. The cultivar.
Okay.
My
Well,
brain.
I think let me check in on what the value are doing, and then we might zoom in.
Okay.
With a little quick thing of how you go and deal with the cultivar, and we'll focus in on that. Does that sound cool? So let me come and ask the value what they're doing.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm like trying to think about what the plan is here. I mean, so it sounds like we're just at this council meeting. The plan, we didn't get into specifics of the plan. It sounds like we're not going to try and engage with the cultivar. We're just going to grab some of them and do some research on them. That was the plan.
Both Arya and I are like steepling our fingers and talking about experiments.
Do you want to wait and see what happens with the capture?
Or I mean, the value could be part of that capture. That could be what the value are going to do. If that's the idea, then I just wanted to clarify, like, what are we trying to accomplish? I mean, the value could certainly have that be something that they do, I suppose. Let's see. What is it, like? Claim by force to seize or
right now we're gonna to get
like
that done. We're actually going to zoom in. Patrick's going to do that with the Primogen. I'm going to zoom in on his character with whoever he takes with him. It could be you,
okay,
or a quick character to capture one of them, and we'll see something about them in the process of that.
Yeah, it sounds good.
Okay, so then Hemlock is going, just because that's your character. Is Jurga himself going to accompany, or do you want to make up a quick character from the Primogen?
I think for this, I think Jurga is going to go.
Okay,
it's really important.
And what about for you, Vajraya?
Yeah.
One of the interesting things is if you make up a quick character and take them along, then when we zoom back up, you get to get something for the value. You get a thing because your character hasn't been on screen.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, maybe I'll make a quick character so I can. Let's see. So maybe help clarify for me a little bit how this works. So, I have a move that. Well, let's see. So I don't remember exactly how this works. So I know I can send out followers. Okay. So apparently I can send out my pack of a pack of followers, right? As a family move. And Vajrayo has benefits to followers that makes them better in various ways. But then are those separate somehow, or can all those benefits from those followers stack even if I send like a quick character as like the lieutenant of Vajrayo to be the leader for this particular expedition?
So the followers, the followers are a tool you would use to send out to do a move with the quality, or in a case where you're sending Vajrayo out himself and he has the people with him.
There's there's two levels of sort of followers. Like I have the followers on my family playbook and on the role playbook.
Yeah, I think what you have here is a choice, and we're kind of stopping the mechanics because it's the first time we've done this. I think you have a choice of either making up a quick character from the Primogen family, or I would say maybe you could even do one from your family.
So I guess,
or or sending Vajrayu and have him bring his followers along on that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So okay, and so then it would just be the one quick character. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd like to showcase Vajrayo's pack of followers then. So I'll have Vajrayo will join in, and they'll bring their followers.
Okay. And add one to the followers quality. We start following you. Diffuse your training center. And are these bodyguards? Are these scholars, courtiers, guides?
Yes, I will bring. So on this particular one, maybe it's better to bring the bodyguard and So this is basically just an extraction mission. We're not planning to engage in diplomacy. Is that right?
I think that is the sense of it.
Okay. So then, yeah, I guess I'll bring bodyguards and guide.
Okay.
Guide will get +1 steel when you send them to scout ahead.
So it is a fairly substantial force, large, of these Vajrayu, with Hemlock and Jurga accompany, right?
Yes.
Okay. So let's set the stage. You have traveled to the south to the area that the cultivars dwell in, the lowlands that they're in here. It's spring, so it's rainy season, just starting. We've got the mists and the jungles and the things like that. And eventually you will reach one of these cultivar outposts, an area where they've cleared the land, where they've cleared the trees. And the thing that is most striking about it is where everything else grows organically and has the curves and the lines and things like that, and even the fractals. The cultivars work in straight lines. So they when they clear a place, they clear an exact square plot or a rectangle, and everything is made out of those sharp angles and lines. And it looks like a settlement, but with those sharp things. Buildings are like ziggurats with those steeped steps on them. And Starg, Ari, Jurga, tell me, what do these cultivars look like?
I think they're kind of glass-like.
Okay.
Like the light hits their skin, it doesn't kind of like bounce back like ours does. There's depth to it. You can see things inside.
We see the mechanical bits underneath this crystalline skin, this carapace almost. Okay.
Yeah.
And we said they're humanoid. So we see that, and that the light will flash on them as you see them moving around and working. Hemlock, what's the weird thing about this settlement that you weren't expecting?
I think they basically have like, because this is this very like, do you describe it as like metal buildings and stuff, or I know they're very geometric.
I just picture them as geometric ziggurats. Are they metal? Are they stone? Are they wood?
Okay, they got this sort of like crystal and metal worked into their bodies. So I think it'd be the same thing for the buildings, and I think they have some weird form of like inexplicable crystal-based Tesla field. Like there's like jolts of electricity that are going from building to building between these like crystal nodes.
Yeah. And when you think about it, you're like, okay, well, they're made of crystal and they're making the buildings of crystal. So they're making the buildings out of their flesh, which you don't want to process. But yeah, they clearly have, lightning fields, electrical fields that work throughout this place. And it reaches further than you would have expected. And Vajrayu, what is the significant defense that you're seeing here on this settlement? What is the way that they protect themselves?
They have they have what look like placement of batteries that you know, some kind of like some sort of like they're like they have these like emplacements, these like guns or something, basically, that are also made out of this crystalline material. So it's a strange technology that we haven't seen before.
Okay. So they've got crystalline guns that fire crystalline bullets. It's crystalline all the way down, which I like. I want to roll back just a second because I've seen a move that maybe we can activate to get to this. We probably need to have a character roll, forge a path, essentially to find your way here, because that's the one to find your way across precarious or dangerous terrain. So who is leading that? Is it rolling force, and maybe somebody has a move that also affects that? What do you think?
I have a 0 force to start with, so take this with a grain of salt. But I do have a character move, Able Guide, where I can roll forge a path for all of us instead of individually. You just have to accept the outcome before I roll.
And people can aid you. So
that deep knowledge that I rolled earlier. Something I need to say. Oh, I think this is when we can use it for advantage, or is that?
Yeah. You could give him advantage on the roll if you wanted.
Let's do that. I think I want to give that to you here.
Okay. Then let's have you roll forge a path for Hemlock, and you get to roll 3 dice and take the 2 highest.
Sweet. We'll go with green. That seems appropriate. 9.
So that is a 9. So you do find your way here, but you need to pick one from the Forge the Path list. And I'll quickly exposed to dangers you travel. The route you took is lost. You can't take people with you, or it takes longer than you expected.
So conceptually speaking, is this going to be us getting up to their settlement or working our way through it?
I imagine that it's the terrain that I'm rolling this for, the terrain that's closest. Like, this is unknown area that you have to move through. You're not sure what the defenses are, and you need to get close to where the cultivars are.
Okay, so sort of working our way through their outlying metropolitan area rather than the city itself. Okay. I think the route you took is lost is interesting, as in, like, the landscape is changing, reacting to us after we move.
Yeah, it's definitely, the area around here is very different from the vegetation and jungle that you're used to. And it's reacting to your group in a way you wouldn't expect. So
creepier.
Yeah, absolutely. There's something about it. So you are on the outskirts of one of these perimeter settlements of the area that the cultivars live in. They essentially a cultivar village, for lack of a better term. It does look like they're connected in some way, and they do spread out. So there may be a next village over that some of the lightning is arcing to a ways away, but you've got this village there, and the idea is you want to capture some of them. So this is going to be an open-ended question to Jurga and Vajrayo. What do you want to do? How do you want to do this?
I've got an idea, but I want to hear, because Vajrayo is all about like that domination and control. But I have rifles, and so if we want to tranquilize them, I've got that as like a backup thing.
Nice. Yeah. So yeah, we could just do like a force, just like swoop in and capture some of them and fly away with them. That would be what the Vajrayo would want to do. So fiercely assault, when you use an appropriate weapon to hurt, capture, or drive off your enemies.
And you're sending your followers in to do that then? Okay. So I think then you get +1 to your force from the loyal staff and +1 from able leader, right?
Yes.
And quality means they can take more damage here in case things go badly for them.
Yeah, and I have a +2 quality from strength of the pack and one of the others, I guess the one of
From
my
the able leader. Yeah.
able leader. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're actually quality 3.
You've got quite a few of them. They're good scale. You've brought them with you. So you want to just send your hawk troops to swoop in and dive.
That's what they do best.
Take them.
That's
okay.
that's what the Vayu are all about. That's what we're feared for.
All right. Then I think I want to check in before this goes off if Jurga or Hemlock are doing anything before Vajrayu sends his troops in.
I could help. Do you feel like you need help on this roll? Sounds like you have quite a packing quite a punch with all your
but what does your help look like? I mean,
if you want the help, I have an idea because
Sure.
these creatures are so organized. We could cause a slight disarray in their perfect lines, like throw something offline or like screw with their architecture. That would really piss them off. That'll get them come out for a better shot if you need it.
I like it. Shock and awe. Let's do it.
Okay.
The Vayu are not about just succeeding in combat. We're about like devastating and decimating our enemies. We are the Mongols of the air.
All right.
Absolutely. And what about you, Hemlock?
I think Hemlock is sort of glad that they're stepping up and going after the force part of this, because he would rather not risk himself or any of the people he brought.
You could, as an idea here, as a peripheral character move, is you could try and unearth forgotten lore by kind of looking at the situation, see what you can figure out from here.
Ooh, I like that. Yeah.
Okay. Then let's do that, and then we're going to go to the aid and the attack roll.
So lore is 1. Guys, 6 + 1 is 7.
7. So you gain a data. You can add that as a resource.
Nice.
And you get to ask a question from that list under Unearth Forgotten Lore.
Yeah, I mean, what very much what we're here for is looking over their technology, their setup, what I can see even before we get a sample. How can I turn this to my advantage? If you want to think over that while you do theirs.
Well, no, let me. I want to consider this for a second. You can see that they definitely have some genetic transformational technology. like you can see as you've moved around that they are definitely processing organics in a way that you've never seen before. And that kind of excites you. I mean, as dangerous as it is, there are techniques here to be salvaged to increase your ability to change and manipulate the flesh. Does that sound like a fair answer?
Yeah, I like that.
Okay. So then let's have the Vayu Vajrayu roll with force, which is a +2.
Where's the I don't have the roll for party. Do you have
okay.
a link?
Let me grab that. It is right here. Copy. Let me drop that in the chat. There you go.
Now, am I doing a lend aid, or is it just more like fictional positioning on that?
Well, right now it's fictional positioning, but if you need to, you can then do the call for aid roll. And which is in this game is nice because it actually boosts the result up a level.
Interesting. Okay, cool.
So I'm just trying to make sure I'm not forgetting something. If I get like advantage for something, I feel like I roll with advantage for something, but I don't remember what.
Well, you gain the +2 force from your setup there, and then if you don't do as well as you want, then Ari can aid onto that.
Okay, maybe I'm imagining it or remembering something from another game. Okay. All right, so I'll just roll with +2. Sounds good.
Okay.
All right, so grab 2 dice and
what
the boxcars.
Well, don't need my help.
so tell me what that looks like. What do we see on screen?
I mean, it's the Vayu do what they are known for. So, I mean, it's just complete chaos. There's the birds come in through the trees. They fly in low, so they're hard to see. They just burst out of nowhere. And these are the elite troops of the Vayu. So they're totally in formation, totally timed. These really small birds, like they look like I don't know, very, very small humanish birds, like the size of small dogs or whatever. They like dart through the trees quickly, and they're like literally like grabbing these crystal guns out of the hands of some of the guards. And then these like massive birds that are just, these like condors, these enormous wings swoop in, and, they literally just like grab these unprotected people that are like cowering from us, and they just like fly off with them, right? Like the flying monkeys in the Wizard of Oz, and they're screaming, and but they're just like in the clutches, the claws of these gigantic Vayu with these enormous wingspans, and then they're just gone. Yep. I don't even think there's probably hardly a shot fired. Maybe there's 1 or 2 guards that try and put up a fight, and they're just like cut down in their tracks. But it's over almost as soon as it begins.
Describe to me how Jurga helped with this.
Jurga swooped down in one of those airships, kind of low, and just dumped a bunch of useless cargo onto one of those rows and caused it to like misalign, and that really pissed them off. They kind of came out and exposed themselves because of that.
Absolutely. I suspect you guys will see when there are a few shots fired, none of them hit. You will see when the bullets hit like trees or things like that, they bore in and start to change the tree when they do that. But you will get away. You've captured, let's say, a half dozen.
Can the Vayu have captured 1 or 2 of these actual crystal guns as well, and like bring them back as for research on them as well?
Yeah, I think that seems fair as a fictional positioning for something later. That seems fair. In fact, let's look at the Fiercely Assault here.
Yeah.
You got a 12 here. On a hit, you do it, and you get to choose 2 from the list. And the
Oh,
GM
you scavenge a device is a choice.
Yep, scavenge a device. What else?
Let's see. Let's see.
Kind of here for information, aren't we?
What did you say?
I'm saying, wasn't our mission to get information?
Yeah, it was. So maybe get 1 data would be the other thing.
Okay.
Which means the avenue of escape is not necessarily clear. And I prefer to dismay them, but I guess given the task, all right, I'll focus on scavenging a device and get some new info.
Okay, so you have a device, and you can mark down 1 data for yourself.
Okay. Now, can I like transfer that data? I mean, my people aren't the best using data. How does data work? Is that like a resource I can transfer to
you can
another
hand over
family?
Pluses, and data is a resource that you can transfer. Yes.
Okay, great.
And I think you create chaos throughout here. I think that whereas these things have been like an ant colony, kind of focused in on their labors, you've sent a shockwave through the network here. Now, to get out, someone is going to have to roll Wasteland Survival. Does that seem like
that's not Pedrio's?
I've got 1 in steel. I could do it.
It is your thing.
Yeah, let's do that. Wasteland Survival. 12 plus steel. Sure. And I've got the airships.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so let me grab, what do you guys take? You took that sort of like lavender and green, so I'll do red or something. Uh, 2d6 plus 1. 6 plus 1, 7.
So you get a 7. So you need to pick one of those, lose something around the way. Maybe your group is hurt or sick. An obstacle or threat blocks your way.
If I can be the sick one, because I don't want to throw this on someone else.
Sure.
I'll take the sick, because that's interesting fiction. It could be that thing that's spreading that you described.
Yeah. So there are a few things that follow you, and you will take a shot from that. I think between what we assume is your armor and stuff, you can mark a harm, just a simple 1 harm on your character.
Okay.
But it's unusual. It's persistent. Like, you're gonna have to figure out how to cure this. Does that seem right?
Yeah, that sounds good.
So these things do attempt to pursue, but you've come in lightning fast, swooped down, grabbed a bunch of them, grabbed some devices, and headed out. And we'll kind of, you move back to your settlements with this information, new data, new information in hand. So I think we want to move back up to the family level. And let's start with the Primogen then. In the wake of this capture and so on, what is it that you want to do?
Sort of looking through and seeing family moves, what I could do here. We've got these things. Generally speaking, I want to get them back to Sapling, back to our research facilities, and start like digging in on some of that transformational gene tech that I was getting an idea of there in the field. I want to get a basics on it before we bring in the virus to see how that whole thing interacts.
Sure. I think that we are going to have you uncover secrets, right?
Yeah.
So how much data do you want to spend on this?
Well, I just have the one.
Well, I can give you the other one. That was the point of the raid.
Okay. Um, I don't know. Maybe like a new resource and a place to shelter from harm, and the idea that like we find something else out there, or maybe like make something from these things that we could use against them in the future, and the a place to shelter, like find a way to defend a stable point from them. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So
Was it well? What about the this virus thing as well? I mean, that was another thing. This plague was something we were interested in as well.
Yeah.
well, let's do the roll for the uncover secrets because you roll and then we'll see what you get to ask.
No. Uncover secrets, it says it's just spend data and add to the map.
Oh, okay. So this is a little bit different than I must have gotten this wrong. So the move is let me make sure because I've got the printout of the sheets. Let me see which version. I may have the older version of that in there. Let me check.
Yeah, on the PDF version, it says there's a role involved.
Oh,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Yeah, let me check and see here. Okay. Yeah, it is actually roll with the data spent. I think what I've got is in the spreadsheet. I've got the previous iteration of that.
Gotcha. Okay.
So now, do you want to spend
oh.
both your data, or do you want to spend one data? What do you want?
I'm not sure. What's the outcome of the roll? I don't have it in front of me.
When you gather your spelling specialists, roll data spent. On a hit, ask one, how do I get surplus? How do I remove need? What's the truth behind? Or how can we make best use of? And then for each answer, add an appropriate detail to the map. And on a 10 plus, ask a second question or add to the map a powder keg, a place to shelter, or a barrier that impedes travel.
Okay, then.
Oh, well, go ahead. Yeah.
I was gonna say I'd like to shoot for that 10, so I'd probably lean towards using both.
Okay.
Let's see. It's a 9 plus 2 is 11.
Look at that.
Not too shabby.
Yes. So we see your scientists with the information given to you by the Vajrayu taking these crystalline entities and working and dissecting them.
Yeah. Like
They're just
trying
mechanical.
to work with, I think, some of the like crystalline energy, maybe like some of the devices that we got away with too, and like trying to make them change to different stimuli and sort of figure out a pattern of how their changing and evolution works.
Sure. Let's have you ask your first question.
I'm still trying to find the move.
Let me find this. Let me see here. Let me copy and paste and get that. I apologize. I thought I had gotten all the moves updated to the new version.
Well, that's all right. Trying to learn how to navigate this book too. All right. I don't know. It feels like how can we make best use of, or what's the truth behind? Just because I can't figure out what a surplus would be in this situation.
There, I mean, you could come up with something there. Let me. So, let's start with what's the truth behind, you said, or how can we make best use of?
I feel like the how can we make best use of would be once we start bringing the virus into interaction with it. So yeah, what's the truth behind these things? The fuck are these cultivar and their weird crystal impossible energy?
So these are clearly another race, a techno race. They seem to have a hive mind. The ones that you've pulled out, it takes a while before they kind of regain a sense of consciousness and animation once you've pulled them away from the hive mind. And then they seem to connect to one another to create like a subcell hive mind.
Oh shit.
And certainly the pain that you deal to one of them is carried over to the others. They seem to not quite understand that that your fleshy bits and the organic world are, parallel to theirs.
Gotcha. All of this organic building material sort of seems the same to them. They don't quite get the difference between like rock and screaming person.
Yeah. There is clearly an intelligence there that's active in. They are not responsible for the virus, though.
Interesting. Okay.
They seem to be concentrated. They have arrived here and have grown, and have been trying to expand and not understand the world. They have a very different take on things.
And you say there seems to be like a geographic limit, like we get far enough away that their hive mind cuts off, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
But once you kind of have them and they have a time to settle in, the let's say dozen that you've captured will actually form kind of a sub network that connects and allows them to act and react.
Interesting.
But they don't have a verbal communication. They don't seem to have like a written language or a spoken language because they communicate mentally.
Yeah. Okay. Rather than a place to shelter from harm, a barrier that impedes travel, could we come up with some sort of thing that we could like make a perimeter around cultivar to hold their expansion in for the moment?
Yeah, you could. Tell me what that looks like.
I mean, I've got Hemlock here working on it, so it's some sort of like sure, let's solve one problem with by making more. Super kudzu.
Okay.
So I'm making this like insanely invasive vine species that like feeds off this crystal energy. I've found some way to like subvert its photosynthesis. So instead of bringing in light, it wants to feed off this crystal energy. Yeah, what you got?
I have an interesting idea, which is their like hive mind aspect. Maybe there's like some way that you could like create like a barrier that like if they go beyond that barrier, they lose their hive mind or something, like their hive connection.
Interesting. Yeah, that like as as this barrier is feeding off this crystal energy and stopping their expansion, it also means like their field that they would rely on around Cultivar is sucked in.
So it's a Faraday kudzu. Okay.
Faraday kudzu. I love this.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things you will realize is that part of their structure is actually growing underground. Like they've got a crystal substrate that's going out into the land. That's part of the reason that the land was reacting to you. And by building that kudzu perimeter, you can stop that growing. You can stop that expansion, and it will hold them in place. So you get
I wanted to say, cool. And I also have my domestication move, which I think would come up now.
Oh, okay. Tell me what that does.
So we've brought the abnormal life form back to my family's farm, and we've reshaped it a bit, figured out things about it. So choose one. I really want to take one of its traits, but I think since we need this going forward, and I don't want this hive collective taking over my city, corral a small breeding population of the organism.
Okay, so you can keep this dozen,
and they
alive.
Sort of like me / don't want to immediately expand and take over my entire civilization.
Fair enough. That's not going to come back to haunt you.
You do.
So why don't you go ahead and draw the outline of the kudzu that you want.
Kudzu. Yeah.
Now they have reached over to Hope's Edge, so imagine they go from Cultivar over to Hope's Edge there. And then with that in mind, as Patrick is drawing that kudzu thing, and I imagine that you create these seedlings and that the value drop, drop these in place.
Yeah, I think that sounds good.
And realizing that these things are not the source of the virus, but you have successfully contained a threat to the land. Then let me ask Vajrayu, what's the value's next move now that you know this?
You mean now that we know that the cultivar are not the source of this? Well, I mean, one of the things that the Vajrayu are considering is that maybe we just need to increase our numbers as a way of trying to withstand this plague. And we're seeing these griffin nomads coming in and realizing that some of them are very effective soldiers. So one thing we might try to do is take something, some resource of theirs. I'm trying to, I guess I'm trying to figure how would I, I think I'm trying to think maybe I could try and engage with these griffin nomads in some way. One might be to try and take some resource that they're bringing in.
You could claim by force.
Yeah.
You could take over a settlement. I mean, if you want to go hard, those are your...
Or even, so under the needs for the value, so our surpluses are morale and safety. And by the way, mood is number of surpluses minus number of needs. Is that right?
That is correct.
So if I wanted to try and overcome a need, I could do that by acquiring a resource as a way to do that, if I'm not mistaken.
Absolutely. That's exactly what claim by force is intended to do, is for you to seize something to match your needs.
Yeah, and my needs are recruits, scouts, and fresh water. And I'm thinking maybe recruits or scouts, maybe the idea is to go in and, essentially by, I guess, claim by force, claim some of their soldiers, basically conscript some of the Griffin soldiers into the Bayou military service.
So you are going in, kidnapping Griffins, and forcing them to serve in your military forces.
Yes.
Okay. Then let's have you roll with grasp.
Okay. All right, so that's gives me a 9. Oh wait, what? Oh, okay, reorganized them. Ooh, ouch. Okay, I actually rolled a 3. Woof. Okay, that didn't go well then. That's still only a 5. So, all right. What happens when the Vayu fail at claim by force?
So, I think that you send in these first raiding parties to start grabbing them, and maybe you get a few of them. But the next time that you kind of send the next thing, they are there. Like they clearly have a more advanced technology for detecting you. And they respond in kind. And they will shatter your forces. They cut through them. They have weapons you haven't seen, and they tear through them. You're forced to retreat back. It's only because they don't want to go too far outside their lands that they don't decimate your people. But I think this cuts to the quick, and your forces are shaken. And I think you need to get rid of that morale surplus.
Okay. Ouch.
Wow, that hurt.
And it's a war. They have what's their unique weapon that you see in the course of this battle with them?
Anybody else have ideas?
What is it that your people are most vulnerable to?
Maybe like flame, like fire guns or something.
Oh, that's interesting. I was actually thinking that that the thing that that the Bayou are the Bayou are yeah, let's say flame. Let's go with that.
Okay. And at risk of undercutting myself, I'm going to roll back just a tiny bit because I realize that you have an option on this that may save you. Okay.
Okay.
When Vajrayo returned back to the family, he had that device. When you return back to the family, I mean, then that device gets converted into a point of tech for you.
Oh, okay. And then I could have rolled with advantage.
You could spend that tech now if you wanted to roll another die to roll with advantage. Now, take a look at the numbers and see whether you think that's worth it or not.
I mean, I do have the +2, so
if you roll well, it could
even
go
if I
really
roll
well.
a 4, if I roll a 4, I'm guaranteed to bump it to at least a 7. And if I actually, well, no, well, I get the 2. So no, I only need a 3. Yeah, 3 or higher. So I've got a 66% chance of bumping.
There's almost no chance this could go terribly wrong. So you're going to spend that.
All right. Hey, I mean, what else did I get the tech for? Yeah, let's do it. All right, I will roll one more die. And all right, so I need a 3 or higher. Let's see here. Hey,
Look
a
at
6.
that.
So wait, so then that's actually a 9 + 2. That's 11.
That's 11.
So I bumped it all the way. Wow.
I imagine
boy, that tech made all the difference.
There's some oracles that you have among people. It's like, hang on. And you have to research. So When you direct your family to seize, maintain control of a resource, roll grasp. On a hit, it's yours, but not without a cost. So you need to choose one from that claim by force list, and you will erase the recruit's need.
Okay, and keeping the morale.
Yes.
All right. And apparently, all right, I'm gonna have to redo the fiction too on how this tech was like so instrumental, because clearly it was. Let's see. So my choices are.
I should have followed up on that, but we're still getting used to the mechanics, and I apologize for having to
Yeah,
roll
I
back.
appreciate your bringing it up. I definitely would not have seen that.
I did.
So
About it.
so these are. I have to choose one of these. You need
Yep.
you need to commit to securing it. Tie one of your surpluses to the resource, and if I lose the resource, then I lose the surplus and vice versa. Or there is a cost to your victory. Your family gets a need of the GM's choice. Or you hurt somebody, the GM will say who, and they take 2 treaty on you. Interesting. I can't think of fictionally how I would hurt, presumably one of the other families, player families. So let's see. Yeah, I think it sounds interesting. The most interesting to say that I need to commit to securing it. Tie one of my other surpluses to the resource, and if I lose that resource, then I lose the surplus, and vice versa. So one of my, so if I'm understanding this right, then gaining these recruits. So do the recruits become a new surplus then?
No,
Yeah, because that's the resources.
What it does is that eliminates that need. So go ahead and cross that need out from your needs.
Okay.
You have morale and safety. What I'd like you to do is choose one of those and put in parentheses recruits. And we know then that if you lose that, then recruits will become a need again.
Okay. So interesting. So okay, so maybe what happens is we're actually I'm gonna say safety. I'm gonna say that the reason that these recruits that we're able to get them as recruits is because like they see that we're in a much better position than the nomads are, and they're like, oh yeah, it actually makes sense for us to go fight with you. Okay, so you know we kidnap them, and then they're like, oh yeah, this is actually a pretty sweet deal. We'll fight in your army. So
it's not quite as horrific. You've rescued them from an oppressive government into your anarcho-democratic system.
Yes, and Valhalla is a pretty nice place. They're hanging in Valhalla. They're like, oh, this is where the warriors chill. All right, okay, yeah, we'll fight with these people.
Awesome. Let's come to what?
And then my mood then goes to 0, I believe.
Yes, it will.
Okay.
As opposed to the -2 it was going to be a second ago before your GM was kind enough to reveal this secret to you. So let's come to Jurga and the Starg. What are the Starg doing?
I've got this interesting move, weird science, that I was thinking about. We're on the family level still, right?
Yes, we're back on the family level.
Am I limited to one move, or can I do more than one potentially?
Well, we'll do a thing. We'll see how it goes. If it takes up time, I mean, this is mostly about scene management and spotlight management right now.
Okay, sure. So let me do this weird science move, which basically, here's the idea I've got. The idea I have here is to build a device that allows me to hack into and control the hive mind.
So quietly, you want to learn how to control this other people, yeah. Okay?
Not this local population, but the one that's been sequestered behind this jungle root system thing.
Absolutely. Okay.
So basically what I wanted to do is build a device, maybe use one of my airships and have like all the apparatus built on it. And then once it's completed, whatever amount of time it takes, have it roll in over top of the area where they're called again?
We called them the cultivars.
Yeah, the cultivar, roll it over and basically hack into whatever is the nucleus of the hive mind. And then we'll see.
So I think to do this, this is going to require you to spend 2 tech. You have to acquire tech and spend it. And then I think you also need to find an appropriate power source, because they have a lot of energy that they're using. So you need to uncover some kind of power source to do that. Does that seem reasonable?
Sure. Now I don't have 2 tech. I've got 0. So this is like
Right.
a long term.
This is the thing you're going to need to get. And let's look. I'm going to look at the book here, because one of the nice things they have in the book is it looks at the different resources and it says the ways to get them. So let me find that section here.
That was going to be my question.
Let's see. Resources. Tracks 24. Again, still getting used to the system a little bit.
Oh, no worries. I'm just taking some notes.
Uh, 65.
Page 65.
Yeah.
Oh, very good. So data you gain through getting reports from scouts and spies with a tool up, families getting information from allies, characters delving into ancient history, various playbooks, men's. And tech you gain through characters banking devices they found in the family stocks. Rolling a 7+ when the age turns. Certain fortunes and trials between ages, various playbook moves. So one of the things certainly we can do is like zoom in to your character exploring an unusual site, trying to find the tech and the power source that you need.
Sure.
We can kind of swing around on that. Does that sound good?
Mm-hmm.
So tell me what's we'll zoom back. We'll do that zoom in a second after I do check in with the other 2. But where do you think that's going to be on the map that you're going to go?
Anybody got ideas? Maybe what's it? The Twisted Mother, the Mother Archive.
That's where the sort of genetic recordings and things are.
That might be cool.
Okay. Yeah, gonna take a crew up there to explore.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the one that's the one that the Bayou called the Twisted Mother.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Archive.
Yeah, that's actually where they have the other breeded uplifted peoples that aren't there. So maybe Monsanto or the compound.
Okay, sure.
Was Monsanto where the kaiju were coming from?
Yeah, Monsanto's like creating that field around that whole area. That's where the kaiju are born out of.
So,
and then I think the compound was full of tech. Yeah, I think the compound is one you created, and that was full of some kind of weird tech.
Yeah, so let's do the compound. I think that's out of these 3 makes the most sense.
Absolutely. Let's check in with the Primogen, and then we'll see where we're at here. Patrick.
So yeah, if we're gonna move forward, and I wanna move forward with this group plan, because then I can guilt/leverage them both into helping me with the killing fields. I mean, we can solve this horrible problem that's afflicting all of our people. So
Here's what I have.
yeah.
I need to actually frame this a little bit now that I think about it. Is this something that the Starg are telling the other families?
Which something?
What I'm doing?
Are you telling the other families that you are going to create a device to seize control of this other faction?
No, absolutely not, because that's better television.
Perfect.
Nice.
Now, with that in mind, let's come back to you, Primogen.
So I feel like I need some more data to work with. And it looks like it'd be more unearthed forgotten lore here. If I'm I think the next step would be finding some of the virus or information about the virus, trying to see how it interacts with this names cultivar little group that I have.
So where do we see? I think we can do this we can do this as a quick step down to a character move there. Where do we see Hemlock at? Where does he go to unearth this forgotten lore?
Stepping down. Should I do a conduct diplomacy instead?
It's up to you. However you want to do that.
I couldn't think of who I could get information from in this.
You could do it from the cultivars.
Interesting.
Or even the Griffin Nomads. You've got two other factions that are NPC factions right now.
Call on your family's allies. That seems like more of a step at this point. Yeah, I think the unearthed forgotten lore then. The virus, is it centered in any particular place, or is it just randomly spreading throughout our populations?
Well, certainly you always associate it with the killing fields. That's your characters and your people's, the thing that's looming over you. So that's the default assumption. I think the one that you spoke of in council, so probably somewhere around there is where you would suspect might be something.
Okay. Then yeah, this is definitely this would be Hemlock leading people into there. He'd want to keep it a fairly small crew, just because he's half convinced it's going to kill us all. But if this is what it takes to move forward.
So you think is that going to be a quick zoom down on that?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. And then let me check in and see what Vajrayu is up to.
Yeah, well, just like I think time-wise, it's looking like we probably don't have a lot left. So maybe I'll just let them zoom in unless they specifically need a Vajrayu or a Vayu help. And
Sure.
Then when we zoom back, you said I get to do some other kind of family move or something. Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay. Then let's do. Let's come to Ari. And if either of you want to, you can make up a quick character to join his crew. We're going to kind of jump in medias res. When you make up a quick character,
well, does Ari want some of us as quick characters, or is it? I mean, could these
I'd be happy.
Yeah, to have us along. So
Absolutely.
Are you like? Would these represent that? It sounded like you weren't making like a deal of this with like the other families, but maybe there's just like your character has like an alliance with a Vayu and a Primogen, like just on a personal level.
Well, I think you can also make quick characters that are part of my faction.
Yeah,
right?
no, that's actually what you do. Is you make quick characters.
Oh, I misunderstood that. Oh, so we could actually play someone from the Primogen faction.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Well, from the
I'm sorry, the Starg. Yeah. Oh, okay, neat. Okay.
And so with the Enclave, when you make a quick character here, quick characters get +1 to lore or steel, and then you get to pick one of those moves.
Their stats are 1, 0, 0, -1, and
Yeah.
then the +1 on top of that.
Yeah, I should put that somewhere. Let me.
And so who are you? Who's with you, Ari? Like, what sort of people from your faction are you taking?
I think I'll have probably have one scholar with me, and someone very sort of hands down, like doing heavy lifting type stuff. That would be my gut instinct. But if you want to play with different roles, that'd be fine.
Got a preference for fists or brains, Walter? You're muted.
Let's see. I was saying I could try the brains for a change of pace. As
Sure.
player. So that might be, there's something here called educated. Let's see. The first time person receives advice from you on your knowledge of the before, they gain fleeting advantage acting on it. Oh, that seems pretty relevant to where we're going.
Yeah.
All right, I'll take that.
Where are you guys looking at this? Because I'm looking at the Enclave.
I'm under your tab, under the RE tab, and there's like a quick character off to the right side.
Yeah. So they're going to make up people that are part of your family that are going to go along with you.
No, I see this on the tabs. I'm talking about in the rule books, like the notes for, so I can follow along.
In the rule book, it's 68.
68.
68 talks about the quick characters, and then the inheritance.
Oh, wow. I think I'll take the pain box. You have a machine that causes intense pain in anyone within a few dozen meters.
Oh, shit. That's a cool choice. Damn. Well, maybe I should look at my others here. What are my options? So you can sense tech is within a mile and track it down to within 100 meters is the radio rig. Maybe my character should grab that one because we're searching for tech, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that makes more sense then. I mean, the educated also sounds good, but like that sounds pretty basic to what we're trying to do. Although we think there's going to be a pretty high level of tech there to begin with. You know what? I'm going to take educated because then we can roll with advantage on whatever we need to do.
And then everybody is also going to choose a role. It's on page 69 for your quick characters. You can be a leader, an agent, a rebel, or an outsider, which is just another Benny. I'm going to keep that open to that page. I should have put that in as a drop down as well. I will for next time.
I'm going to go with outsider. He gets advantage on force if he takes a harm.
Okay.
Let's see. And then not seeing these choices yet.
So you could be a leader, which is about training groups, an agent where you choose a narrow field you're expert in, a rebel where you get a bonus when you break your family's code, or an outsider where you have strange abilities.
Okay. Strange abilities sounds good. Okay. Where are you seeing this? I'm not seeing this anywhere.
Sorry, this is on the book. I should have put it in the.
Okay, but shouldn't it be? It's like in the family playbooks for Enclave of Bygone Lore. Is that right?
No, they don't. They don't have the leader, agent, rebel, outsider thing. Those are like for all the different quick characters. They all get this choice.
Okay. I thought I saw that somewhere, but now I don't remember where I saw it. Okay. So yeah, I guess the outsider. What could you tell me the detail of that?
We have strange abilities. Pick a stat. You can take one harm to roll it with advantage.
Abilities. Take one harm to roll
with advantage.
Pick a stat. Okay. Yeah. Sure. I'll do that. Then I get all kinds of advantage. All right.
So, Starg family. Jurga, scavenger. You've taken a couple people with you. We may have some faceless that are with you, but this is a group that is heading out into there. Um, Varge is an enforcer. Give me a 30-second on who you think Varge is, Patrick.
Well, I mean, he's from the Starg, so he's not entirely what you'd think of as like a ham-fisted sort of brute. He's got this tech that he works with. It makes this field. I think it's a bit of a like custom cyber type thing. It's like these like metal gauntlets that then feed into and have like tubes and wires that go underneath his skin. And yeah, it puts off this weird field around him when he activates them and forces them, but it's slowly warping and changing his body.
Perfect. And what about Holgan?
Yeah, so Hologon is he's an academic. Hologon is an archaeology professor, and doesn't normally go out on expeditions like this, but is suiting up for this. Hologon couldn't be kept away from this expedition because this research facility is actually like studying anything that they know about it, any like documents and stuff known about it, anything that's been brought back. That's like his job, right? Like he just like is all about writing academic papers on the theory and what is known about this particular facility. And he's like giddy that he's actually going to get to step inside of it, yeah, test out some of the theories that he wrote his dissertation on.
Absolutely. So Jurga, we have had you travel. You travel over what your people call the line into the land of the kaiju. This is the kaiju birthplace. The compound is deeper in. This landscape is strange, like the kaiju. It is a combination of this sort of nano metal and the organics. So you might see a tree that has a metal interior with this bark and wood sort of hanging on it and leaves. And you're heading through this area. Now, Jurga, this is a wasteland survival role for you.
Wasteland survival.
Is with steel.
Okay. Got one in steel. All right. Move those red dice out of there so I can roll them separately. 2. Wow. That's a 12.
That's a 12. So if you look at wasteland survival, you have to pick one. And then on a 10 plus, you also get to pick one. So you get a cost and a benefit.
I like hidden treasure.
Okay, and what's the cost?
So I pick one.
So you pick a cost. Lose something. Someone's hurt. An obstacle or threat is blocking your way back.
Oh, I see. So instead of you, I pick it.
And then on a 10 plus, you also pick one.
How about this? I don't mind the sick part because it's kind of cool and interesting. I've already gotten sick. Maybe this is the illness exacerbated by this environment.
Okay. So go to harm level 2 then.
Yeah. So I'm like coughing into the face, mask, visor.
The toxins.
These are not looking pretty.
Yeah, getting to you. Varge, Holgun, you're a little nervous. He's the expert for finding your way out to these places, and he does not look like he's in great shape.
Yeah, this is oh well, Jurga, are you gonna be okay?
I'll be fine. I think I found something. What is that treasure you meant that I came up with? Maybe dig a little deeper.
So I will say that essentially you can find a device like one of these nano pools that's unactivated, hasn't been imprinted. And it's in a containment vessel. And you will dig that out so that you have a device that you could use out here in the field, or potentially take it back to make it into tech.
Yeah, I'd like to take that back for tech.
Goes into your bag.
Goes into my bag.
And so we see the Peter Jackson-esque sweep of your characters moving across the landscape. It spins around in the background, and after a number of days, we eventually can see in the distance various buildings of the compound. It's a sprawling complex. We described it as like a tech research triangle around here. So this is almost like a university style campus, one of those places. Some of the buildings are crushed in, like you've seen in various areas around here. There are massive footprints around the landscape. At least once, as the lights come up in the morning and the dawn, you've seen something looming. At first you thought was a mountain silhouette in the distance, and then you see it start to move, and you can hear the sound of thunder of these things walking as they move along. And so you picked like the closest outer building, and you're going to survey that then?
Sure. Yeah. Do a scan on it. Maybe
Okay.
one of the other characters. That.
Well, you actually have a move for this, which is why I'm pointing to you to it.
Okay. Okay.
I think Varge's part would be like he would move forward before you go into the building and like use this pain field to try and drive things back.
Okay. Let's have him do his
So
architecture.
let's keep in mind that I have a move that the first time a person receives advice from me based on my knowledge of the before, they gain fleeting advantage acting on it.
Oh,
so I can only do that once for you, but if you want to use that for this or another move, let me know.
Let's see. Architectural eye rolls with steel. No, let's save it.
Okay.
Yeah, let's save it if you don't mind. But go ahead and do architectural eye.
So we're gonna have you survey it, and then we're gonna cut to barging in.
Sure. All right. So that's just roll again and add +1. Ooh. I should have taken that help. So it's a total of 6.
That is a total of 6.
Yeah.
After failing a roll as well as you'd like, say what another character nearby can do to boost your efforts. If the group agrees, the helper says how they do it and rolls an appropriate stat.
Yeah, so I need to say how they could help me.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm sick, right?
Holgen has studied this, like blueprints of this facility.
Yeah.
Then let's have you roll lore to assist him.
Okay. So let's see. I'm gonna get rid of one of my dice so there's less confusion. Where's the right, I'm not finding it. I'll just move that one out of the way and then I'll roll the other two. Okay. Well, I got a 5, but +2, 7.
7. So you will push their result up a level, but share in their move's consequence. So you get
7.
to hold 2.
Okay.
For that move. So do you want to spend anything before I move to Varge?
Is that for 2, right?
Mm-hmm.
Use the room as a weapon.
I'm sorry, what move are you rolling on now? Oh, this is one of your personal moves for your character. Okay.
I'm going to do identify and track a danger within the ruin. I'll spend 1 hold for that.
So you and have been moving around, looking at things, and you will realize that while this building that you're heading towards is probably rich, there are things in the area, essentially raptor-sized things. They're micro kaiju. They're like those sucker fish that go and clean bigger animals. They adhere to kaiju and clean out the areas and things like that. And you've seen tracks of them around here. And so you know that they are around in the area and a danger.
Yeah, we're probably easy pickings for them, though.
So Varge, you've been informed that there are these raptor beasts out here, and you want to make your way into the building.
Yeah, I want to try and like move towards them and force them back away from me with this like pain field, and hopefully out a back exit to just run and leave us alone and have no consequences for the future.
All right. So you're going for fiercely assault. Like you see them and you're going to use the pain field to send them away, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I spend that second hold to help him here?
Let's see. No, it doesn't look like that's what it does.
Okay, because it says find a way to use the ruin as a weapon. That's one of the.
Do you want to spend that second hold to do that?
Yeah, if I can use it to help him.
Sure, absolutely. We'll say you. What is it? What is the way that you're able to amplify his pain field?
Maybe there is. By the pain field using the structure. Maybe there's some part of the structure that's kind of like resonates that somehow.
Sure. Tells you to head that way.
Okay. So okay.
You'll roll with advantage.
Yeah, because what I was going to do, what Varge was going to do, and I think what you see and sort of step in on here is like he knows these kaiju things, like they're a serious threat. You see him, I think it's sort of like he hits the metal gauntlets together to start up this vibration field around him that starts the pain field. But you can see him like pushing. You can see him going deeper, and you know that when Varge really pushes something is when like his skin changes, these gauntlets like infect him more and more. It twists and breaks his body. I think maybe you come up with this solution before he goes into that as a way of like, you don't want to see Varge hurt himself again for you. That's a neat story there.
Let's have you roll force.
Cool. That's you. All right. So. Ooh, that's better than it could have been. Thank you for the advantage. That's an 8.
That's an 8. So on a hit, you do it. On a 7 to 9, you choose 1, and I choose 2.
All right. You do it. So I am driving them off. Okay, cool. Yeah, I don't. Ari, what would Varge know that you're more interested in, a device or data?
I think the data.
Okay.
Right. Because I don't know how much I've got. I don't know if I have.
You have one tech from a device right now, so you need a second.
So I do need a second device.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. So yeah, I think there's some device in here that was like, whatever it does, it's what was attracting those baby kaiju into this building.
All right, and then I get to pick. Well, tell me what it is that you scavenge. What do you find?
I think it's like it's towards the top of the building, and it's like an antenna array type thing, about the size of a person. Strange black material.
All right, can I grab onto that? You're going to take harm. You are going to take 2 harm from this.
Oof.
And I think that one of them gets past you. And I think that Holgan, you've kind of been moving up because you're kind of excited to see this stuff, right?
Oh yeah.
And one of these raptor things gets past Varge and rams into you and starts tearing the flesh from your bones. And you are also going to take 2 harm.
Oof.
Sorry about that.
Brutal.
And then, you know, the group, you've driven off these things and you can move into the building. And normally I would do a little bit longer, but I'm actually going to truncate this to just the unearth or forgotten lore roll, to see what you can find. Does that seem reasonable?
Sure. Is that me?
It
For
is
me to
going to
roll?
be you, sir.
Okay.
So you
All
should,
right, yeah.
if you don't already have advantage, you should take the advantage I can give you by giving you advice.
A bleeding Holgan is telling you what to do.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is why Hogan's bleeding. It's worth it to be like going through this archive. Like, oh my god, like, Hogan's like hardly even notices that he's missing a leg. He's like hopping along on this like makeshift crutch. He's like, oh, it's just like I read about. What is that? I've never read anything about that before. We have to find out more about this. Hogan's going crazy. He's loving it. He's like bleeding out. He's like leaving this trail of blood, but he doesn't even notice.
So I roll advantage.
You roll lore with advantage.
All right, so I gotta just get rid of these dice. How do I delete that? Can I just add? Is there a way to just add a die and then roll all 3?
Yeah, you can.
It's too late. Sorry, I never deleted it. I'll just roll 3 dice. And
It's all good.
Wow. I killed it. I think that's a 12. Yeah, that's a 12.
So you gain 1 data.
Another one.
Yep. Well, not a device, it's a data. To get 2 devices and 1 data.
Right.
And then you get to ask 3 questions.
How can I turn it to my advantage?
So I think that you will find that the building is active, like it is powered up, and I will say that means that there is a power source here. Like there is something that you could conceivably take away from here if you can find it.
Okay.
2 more questions.
What is it drawing power from? What dangers is it hiding? I guess that's
that when you find the power source and try and take it out, that the building may come down.
okay. Where is it drawing power from? I guess
You will find that location down in the sub basement. You'll find the power source that you need to create your horrible weapon to take control of the cultivars. Do you want to take it?
Yeah, I want to go for it.
Okay. Then I need everyone to roll Forge a Path.
Wow. We're going to lose some people. Plus force. Force is not my forte. All right. Just roll it. It's just going to be -1 for me. Oh, that's bad.
Okay.
A total of 4 for me.
Okay. Now let me ask: do one of you want to give
Oh
up
my
your
god.
fortune path to save him?
Yeah, well, I could do. So I just rolled for Holgan, who has -1 force, but I rolled boxcars.
Do you
So
want to hand that off to him?
Yeah.
So Holgan, tell me how you die.
Oh, that's easy. That's easy. So Holgan is like
Buildings.
they're like finding their way down to the power source, yeah, and it's you know, there's like dangerous stuff everywhere. There's like electrical circuits, there's this and that, and Holgan sees that this power source is like connected to this like amazing like kind of mainframe computer, and Hogan's like, oh, it's powering the computer, but I know about these things. This computer will have like another like 30 minutes of time before it goes down after we unplug the power source. So look, I'll unplug the power source. Here, you take it. I've got to access more information on this computer. I'll catch up. Go.
I'll see you in a minute.
Also, keep in mind the second half of your outsider roll move for Holgan. When you die, terrible energies plague the area. Those that brave the maelstrom can find a device on your body.
Ooh, so we'll have
I
that
didn't know that.
for later.
Oh, okay, nice. Right.
People can return back here to try and find what you discover in the computer. Varge, what'd you roll for Forge a Path?
I hadn't yet. I think he's gonna do his outsider roll though. Take a harm. Twist the area. I think like the landscape that we're going through and escaping through actually like warps and cracks and twists around Varge as he's got this field around him just running forward.
Absolutely.
That, and you. And once again, really glad I had that advantage. It's 9 + 1 is 10.
Absolutely. So I think that you will get out, but the route down is going to be lost behind you guys as you get out.
Cool.
And I think since we're right at the time, that's where we're going to stop for today. Next time we're going to start after we brought Darren in. We're going to start with Primogen's exploration. Do that zoom down for that.
Should we zoom out real quick here?
Well, what we'll do is we'll do that, and then since you guys are kind of doing those two things in parallel, we'll do the zoom out and give that to Vajrayo and do his zoom out for that. Does that seem fair?
Cool.
Yeah. So we'll do a debrief at the end of next session, since I ran us right up at the line. But if you have questions or things you want to change or anything again between now and next time, please say, I'm going to stop the broadcast.